And Solar, being such a nice guy, is actually asking us if we're all ready. And we are actually underway. Awesome. All right, we don't have to wait to sync up for once. Thank God. This is going to be awesome. Solar versus Maru coming up. Map 1 is going to be a good map as well, an interesting map. A map which we all have a lot of memories on. It is going to be Habitation Station. So, here we go. And spawning in the top left-hand side of Habitation Station, calling for a pause, we have Solar. And I'll just wait on introducing the players here, I guess, until we get this pause done. Of course, just letting Graham finish his snack quickly. This is going to be a very long cast for us today. I am quite ill, but cough medicine apparently is amazing. And it's actually keeping me alive. We've had a lot of good games today. Of course, a few highlights were Zest almost resurrecting himself versus Lenok in that set multiple times. He actually did manage to turn around a crazy base trade in game 1. Unfortunately, though, at the end of it, Zest did end up falling out of the tournament with 1-2 losses earlier in the day. But hey, guys, we are back into game now. So let's introduce the Terran player in the top right-hand side. Our red Terran player is Maru.
All right, and yeah, as Pig was saying, not to this is in no way complaining. We've had absolutely fantastic matches, and honestly, the time we spent in game has flown by. The time we spent out of game has maybe dragged on a bit, but either way, we're coming up on like hour 8 or 9 casting. So it's certainly been quite the wild ride trying to go through 2 groups back to back like this. But this is still the preliminary match of Group D. Not the winners, not the losers. This determines who goes on to fight against Beyond and who goes on to fight against IA.
Absolutely. Maru, of course, such a strong Terran player, the hero of Pro League this year.
I'm just going to open and say,
standing out in individuals.
I'm really surprised he didn't do a 3-rack Reaper opener. Like, Maru, for me, is the guy who, through his career, like, he made it a 2 racks and then an all-in in HOTS, but that was, like, just part of his build order, right? Like, he would make all these really cheesy or cheeky moves that people would dedicate to, yet he would somehow always macro out of.
You know, I feel like Hab Station, I guess this is one of the weaker maps for it. I did say I think Uthermal used it on here just recently, but it is weaker with only such a narrow area at the front that you can jump up and down. So I think it's one of the maps where I can understand wanting to avoid it, and I really am curious to see if Maru, I mean, if you think about this map, you have that gold base, right? And that really does favor Terran in my opinion, because it's on your attack path, it's very easy for Terran to defend, but it's very hard for Zerg to defend the gold base. So usually Zerg has to take the more generic blue mineral expansion, and that does give Terran a boost in the mid game.
Well, I agree with the point of this not being so great for Reapers. In terms of like, in the past, I think a lot of the rule for Reapers, you want a lot of mobility to the main and to the natural. But it seems like the way people have been playing Reapers, it's been so brute force, and just the natural is more than enough. Either way, I agree that this is probably not one of the better ones. This and Whirlwind stand out as maps that people tend to avoid Reapers on, but still, it's Maru. Now, to comment on, he is going to follow this up the second barracks. He puts this a little bit further back, so Solar doesn't actually scout that.
Very cute little placement there, just trying to not give away any information for free. And he's going to be going for the double marine stim drop. So as standard as it gets for Maru, wanting to play a very solid game here. Solar, I do like that he's opening up with Hatch first, you know. I think that's a good choice here on this map. A lot of players going pool first every game, but gets a slight economic edge by doing this. He's going to be going for that third queen and that overlord speed. So Solar wants to scout absolutely everything that's happening, and that will give him a lot of opportunity to drop Zerglings and Banelings later in the game if he so chooses.
Yeah, Solar's actually, excuse me, Solar's actually a very intelligent player, and I really like the emphasis on the Overlord speed, regardless of potential drops or whatever later. Seeing what Maru's doing early, he'll read off the smallest bit of information and know exactly what it's going to be. So, yeah, I didn't see the second barracks snuck in the back there, sure, but you'll see the timing on the starport. He'll see a reactor coming down on that factory. Like, he'll be able to put 2 and 2 together.
Absolutely, and this Reaper, its time where it controls the map is now over. It's going to have to run home. These Zerglings of Solar are going to hunt it down. It looks like they might barely get the wraparound Maru with some very nice micro, but I don't think it'll be enough. He's just going to buy as much time as he can. Meanwhile, the Overlord Scout did poke in. It saw the timing on the factory and the starport. So even though it didn't see the second barracks, I'm pretty sure Solar knows from that timing exactly what he's up against. And
Yeah.
yeah, it should be in good stead.
I think part of this as well leads into those extra queens, but I think it's at this point safe to say every Zerg player's got in their bones, like, you want to have extra queens. 5 seems to be pretty standard. Some players like Snoot go kind of crazy at times with 7. Regardless, there's already creep spread. He's going to have appropriate queens to push this back. I don't think this will look like what we just saw out of Game 2 of like IA and beyond. This should be a much better hold for Solar. He seems very much better prepared for it.
Interestingly, Maru is going to be going for the classic follow-up of exceptionally fast upgrades. Lately, a lot of players have been going for a much faster third CC, then double upgrades, or like Beyond, they'll go for 1 engineering bay, 3rd command center, and then add the barracks, and then only add the 2nd engineering bay later. But Maru is doing the very classic way of doing it, so he's going to be able to keep his upgrades pretty much in line with Solar's, but it will slow down his 3rd base quite a lot. It's just an interesting variation there from what we've been seeing lately. Of course, Solar here with 5 queens at the front. He's got a good-sized ball of Zerglings there as well, adding a Baneling Nest behind this to help beef out the defensive follow-up. Nice focus fire on those medevacs, taking a lot of damage. Maru's Marine's getting surrounded a bit as well.
But even then, the control out of Maru, fantastic. That medevac gets out of there with 6 health. He picks up, disengages. He's going to meet up that 3rd one. He'll be ready for that secondary push. Solar's Baneling Nest is not going to be done in time for this, but I do want to point out there's actually a couple of spare transfuses. I don't love that he's putting down creep tumors, because that's the transfuse energy disappearing, but the more creep, the better.
Maru here does have that 3rd medevac grouping up. That is nice. But still, 3rd CC only just starting. It's starting to add more barracks down behind this. We'll be continuing with this pressure. Both players' work accounts are tied up neck and neck right now. Maru's got to be very careful with this pressure. I think Solar's taken the better edge of the trade so far, just slightly. But as long as Maru can keep up pressure, he can slow down that drone count from Solar, make it very awkward for him to get a 4th base.
So Solar's Overlord died getting some very important information on the other side of the map. He saw the 3rd CC. It was like 80% finished.
Sorry, Maru's trying to bait into this Widow Mine. He was trying to get those Zerglings to chase on the low ground, but didn't quite work out.
Well, unfortunately, the Marines, they've still got a little bit of kick to them. They can still get in here, but the Banelings, as long as they don't have speed, I think Maru's going to be the one to focus fire them down pretty quickly. That extra 10 health does make them a lot harder to deal with, though. Anyways, pointing out as well, yeah, he saw the 3rd CC time, but he also saw the additional barracks coming down, so I mean, Solar knows exactly where Maru's at. He's hitting his strides, and he's playing Terran pretty much exactly as you would expect.
Liberator and a Marine drop on the north side are going to hit the main, but there's already a 4 Zerglings and a Queen ready. Solar's defense is spectacular this game. He hasn't let Maru do anything to him. Solar's now droned up to full 3-base saturation. He's holding on all sides. That Liberator in the main is going to come around behind, but already the Spore and Queen being repositioned. Maru is not finding any openings right now.
It's so unfortunate, too, because he is doing a lot on the map, and he's really hoping to catch Solar off guard at one point or another. Nice focus fire on top of those Banelings, but even then has to pick up and fall back. This drop that was full earlier keeps coming in, 1 or 2 Marines at a time. The Lings are pre-surrounding them. Liberators, there's no spores down here, actually. The Liberator might get something done in the natural.
Yeah, and this is one of the weaknesses of going for those double upgrades as well for Maru. Yes, he's got double upgrades, but didn't start his 2-2 on time because he didn't have the money for it. He's so focused on his aggression, he still hasn't started it. So even though he had the fast upgrades, he's actually now falling behind with those, not finding those openings anymore, still looking for damage on the south side of the map. But Solar has just been playing so well defensively, hasn't let any damage happen.
Now this medevac did bring 4 new Widow Mines to the front line. That'll help set up a little bit for these Banelings that keep scaring Maru away, but Baneling speed finishes up very soon. 10 extra health, and of course, a lot of extra movement speed.
Nice focus fire from those Queens. Solar focuses down those medevacs very well. Zergling's coming in, trying to bait out the Widow Mine shots. They do a fantastic job of it. Only 1 Widow Mine manages to keep its shot alive. Great micro back from Maru. He is taking a small supply lead now. He's working so hard in these situations, but Solar is so well prepared that he seems to be deflecting almost everything.
Well, while the deflections go down here to the south, Solar picks up with a drop of Lings heading to the north, and it's not Banelings or anything, it's just pure Lings that are going to drop into Maru's main base.
It's a really good, cheap way to pull Maru's attention away and give Solar a little bit of breathing room. Right now, Solar is heading for Hive and Spire, wanting to go into those Broodlords. Nice double drop in the north. He's going to start to work on this, but the Spore Crawler placement is going to put a timer on that. Solar, once again, so well prepared for this.
Workers killed in the top right, not too bad, but not too many either is the problem. He does drive off mining, so that kind of sucks, but realistically, this isn't too much damage done. 4 SCVs go down in total.
Maru's APM is averaging out at 400 right now. Solar not far behind at 380. They're both playing so fast. Solar here really just taking up this defensive stance and trying to weather the storm. But Maru here, I mean, he just keeps going again and again. So doggedly pushing in on the southern side of the map. He's going to try and push forward once more, picks off a few of these Zerglings. The unit's loss tab is looking great for Maru. He's been almost twice as efficient throughout these engagements, but as that Hive Tech draws nearer, he's going to need to commit to do more damage.
You really need some creep. Oh my god, that Widowmine got a fantastic shot on the Banelings. Like, Solar can take these engagements once that creep finally spreads out, but it's been taking so long to get it to that point, so harder and harder to take these fights. Marines on the high ground, absolutely abusing the map for what it's worth, and Solar is just struggling to hold on to his front lines. He really wants to get this base up and running.
I mean, no matter how many attacks Solar shuts down, there is always coming with another.
That Widowmine scumbagged like 8 Banelings there.
Oh, wow. And this piece of high ground, Solar just cannot engage onto that. He's got a Baneling drop heading towards the natural. That one is going to try to go in and get some damage done on that mineral line. There's a lot of workers stacked up there. I don't know if Maru is watching right now. He's focusing on this aggression
so
on the south side.
oversaturated. 25 out of 14. Oh, that could have been so good, but unfortunately for Solar, falls so flat.
3-3 is now started for Maru, plus 3 Carapace and Corruptor production starting for Solar. Solar doesn't have a great Aspire yet. They're actually going for attack upgrades. And just looking like he wants to play just play Lingbane Corruptor for now. Continuing to pressure on this south side of the map, but actually rotating most of his army away as Maru. That Widowmine, another great Widowmine shot. Maru, he's just been looking for these high ground Widowmine shots this whole game, constantly looking to bait into those. It's such a good job.
He's had several Widowmines that have traded out for at least 8 or more units at this point. That's a lot of luck, but also just really fortunate. Solar's down a little bit in supply. He's not trailing hardcore, but the way he's been trying to trade out to the north, do those drops to the way north, and still defend to the south, he's finding himself a little bit short on army.
The north side of the map, we've got a 4 Liberator, 4 Medevac Doom drop coming into that main base. That Spore Crawler that was up there earlier did end up getting sniped. And now Maru setting up in an absolutely monstrous position. The entire army of Solar is going to have to rotate back to try and fight this. I think he should have enough units to overwhelm this, but the Bio is just going to look for a really good trade, and then it's always got that opportunity to pick up and boost out of there. Maru forcing a nasty engagement that Solar has to take. Meanwhile, Solar clears out the third of Maru. Maru's diving to the 5th base on the south at the same time, fighting happening all over the map.
Unfortunately, though, Solar gave away so many links before he finally broke through to do any damage to this command center. At the end of the day, kills 7 SCVs. Not worth it. Loses a base to the south. Lost his macro hatchery in the main. He's spending his entire army trying to push back these drops. But this defensive setup, this landing zone that's been secured by the Liberators, is just too good. It's not being broken. Now left with only Queens and Corruptors, this isn't going to work. He needs Banelings, he needs Lings, and he just doesn't have enough.
And Maru's secured a 4th base behind this. It's 4 base versus 4 base. Maru's taking a 5th command center. Even if he gets forced to evacuate here, he's taking a fantastic trade. He's going to boost on out of there. A couple of the Liberators escape as well, and already another push on the south side of the map.
There's no
Marine
way.
Marauder, Liberator all over the place.
Solar's down almost half the army supply of Maru, and the worst part is it's like the type of supply. It's Widowmines, it's Liberators. He's fighting with Lings, barely Banelings at this point. I think it's a little too far gone. Oh, the drone transfer feels really bad, man. Gets caught in the Liberator crossfire. Corruptors coming in to try and push this back, but Widowmines and Marines protecting them from below. The Liberators aren't even the problem here. It's all the bio.
Yeah, this is getting really problematic right now for Solar. He's going to try to take out these Liberators, but the Corruptors are dying to the Marines at the same time. And looks like that's just a little bit too much. Maru with a spectacular TvZ there. You know, I was saying Solar's so well prepared, he's always in position. But Maru didn't care. He just kept eking out small advantages, taking slightly efficient trades over and over again. And that just built up. And he just never seemed to let up on the pressure. I'm very impressed by Maru's presence there. That was just incredible, man.
I mean, this for me was great to see because I think Solar always performs well all the time. Like, he can win a DreamHack, he can win an SSL. Like, he is always a good standard player. However, Maru, it is a bit of a, quite, like, again, the difference between LAN, offline Maru versus online Maru is crazy, and we got to witness the best of the best in that game. I was really impressed by the control. Like, the stutter step was so cool to watch. It was on point. His medevacs never really died. He brought that one medevac home early to repair. There's just so many things to nerd out about Maru in that game. And at this rate, if it is going to be Maru versus Beyond in a TvT winners match, the audience is what's going to win the hardest. I'm just sad that we'll be swapping groups at that point. But not to get too far ahead of myself, Solar is hardly out of the series just yet. Merely down a game? It's an easy comeback.
You know, I would have favored Solar going into this. I didn't really put down a clear favorite or anything like that. I was just saying, hey, this is a great match. But I really would have said Solar's the favorite just because his form recently and his consistency this year have been incredible. But after that game, you know, suddenly it's like, wow, okay, all right, Maru's on fire. If he can keep playing like that, things are going to be really tough. Of course, he had some nice usage of the architecture of that map. I think that's where things really got out of control. Using those pieces of high ground, those ramps down in front of the fourth base, then the cliff above the fifth base. Maru just abused those positions so well.
I would not even call you crazy if you were to tell me, like, oh yeah, I'm favoring Solar a little bit going into it, because I agree on all points. He's been looking so good. Just speaks even higher volumes on how that first game went, I feel. But speaking of the devil, in the bottom left is the Blue Zerg player. It's Splice's own Solar.
And his opponent spawning here on the other side of the map. It is Maru. Now I'm going to need you to share screen with me, Rifkin, because unfortunately my StarCraft I think bugged out, / I didn't get an invite there.
Oh, that feels bad, man. All right, let's see if I can do this without breaking everything. It'll be a super high quality cast, but hopefully it's good enough. I was gonna comment real quick. Sorry, I just assumed you got in the lobby. I didn't even look.
That's my bad. I just got a message that I was responding to from someone. Like they're like, "Oh, I need to know this right now," and I was like, "Okay." And I just got distracted. That's my fault. But I can see everything in real time from you, so don't worry. It's totally cool.
Okay. Well, I don't know how the quality is. I hope you can at least see what the buttons are. But I was just gonna comment actually on that intro for Solar. Splice picking up Solar is so cool. Because I know there's all these dead game memes for StarCraft and whatever, but you've still got teams that are big and established, have nothing to do with StarCraft, willing to pick up a player in StarCraft. Heck to the yeah, like, that for me looks good. That to me says, like, okay, I'm not going to benefit from that in any way, shape, or form. That's all Solar. But it's nice to see a team willing to take a step into StarCraft. And, oh, hold up. Let's hope this doesn't break. Okay, can you still see this?
Yep, looks good.
Okay, because I had to move the Skype window. It was like popping up on top of everything. So I wasn't sure if that would break it or not.
No, it's all good, man. So, of course, we've got the, you know, looks like that Reaper going to come in. Actually, ooh, Solar was going down to that third base very early with that drone. Looking to potentially get that third down sneakily. Maru just going to deny that, ensure that he doesn't get that fast third down. I love to see this change up from Solar. He actually pulled two guys off gas rather than going for Overlord speed, was going to go for the very fast third. And this is a greedier opening we often see players like Scarlet favor, something which I personally enjoy using a lot on ladder, but Maru there just read that really well, shut that down, and now Solar doesn't really have a way to get that hatchery down, just has to go for the faster third queen, wait for the Zergling speed to finish, and then he can move over to take that third base.
You know, this kind of plays into what you were pointing out earlier, though, watching players like Lucira and others. You get those two links across the map, you get the Reaper to come back home. Like, whatever for the mind game aspect, it secures you taking that third. So it's kind of unfortunate that Solar doesn't quite get it. Like, you're so close to getting it down in time. But another drone going to move out. Escort squad with the Queen of the Slowling is going to try and get that base, but Maru was going to focus fire that drone. Realized speed kicked in, though, and decides to not risk it. The Reaper getting really low. Looking for some high ground. Can't find any. Uh-oh. Rested pepperonis.
Ooh, does end up going down there. And that is always going to be a bit of a shame, but of course it has already done its job. And we are going to be seeing the starport coming down now. It's going to swap over to the reactor on the factory when that all finishes up. Very typical build order here from Maru, and after the way he played last game, that's exactly what I like to see from him. Curious to see if he goes for the double engineering bay to finish walling off the natural again, or if he does change that up this game around.
You know, the double engineering bay was actually so popular for a while, but more recently we've been seeing just like the one engineering bay. I guess they're just satisfied getting something in that wall to speed it along. It depends, I think, a lot too on how afraid he is of solar attacking. If you know you've got some time, you just do all depots. Who cares?
Yeah, it's also, you know, just what do you want to prioritize? Because it does slow down your command center, your extra medevacs coming out if you're going for those upgrades straight away. So getting just the attack upgrade, the more important upgrade for that ranged army, is always nice. But either way, works. It looks like Maru is going to be picking up and boosting across that map in the next few seconds. Of course, Solar, once again, double upgrades, lots of queens, spreading his creep out, starting to mass Zerglings now as he knows that that drop is going to be hitting him very soon. So we're going to see pretty much the exact same situation as last game of very slightly different openings.
Well, the drop is going to find... I mean, this is going to look so reminiscent to watching Beyond having just played on this map. Like, it's going to be the same positioning, the same timing, but different players. This time, I think Solar, however, unlike ISM, has a lot more units to play with. The Queens have energy for transfuses, although the one with the most energy being focused on immediately reaches really deep for those medevacs.
Ooh, the Marines do get wrapped around, but good starter step micro. Once again, we see Maru. He tends to go very deep with these trades. Trades off a lot of his Marines for the Zerglings. And, you know, I normally am kind of saying that favors the Zerg a little bit, but the way I've seen both Maru and Beyond kind of just micro this follow-up pressure, I feel like it doesn't hurt them so much because they're reinforcing with this third medevac filled with Marines so quickly. They're sending the damaged red hit point medevac home. It actually seems to play out really well. So we've got a Liberator on production as well. Wants to add that in to add a little bit of to the harassment. Actually going to repair the medevac as well. Love to see that.
Yeah, he did this last game as well. That one is like single-digit health medevac. I love this because it doesn't disrupt your build cycle. And early on, Terran's pretty stingy with gas, so losing and replacing a medevac is hard to do. I like the repair aspect quite a bit.
Yeah, coming in and just clearing back that creep again, keeping Solar uncomfortable. You can see those worker counts are tired, and this really is what this pressure achieves. It isn't necessarily killing units directly, but it's forcing the Zerg to build so many fighting units rather than drones. It's also stopping this creep from just freely spreading across the map. We can see that Liberator working across the southern side of the map, the Marines and Widowmine looking to just zone around the top. And this really ensures that the Zerg can't get a fourth base for a long time as well. So if you don't do this sort of pressure, you don't keep it up, Zerg can just take a fourth whenever they like, but Maru makes sure there is absolutely no chance of that happening.
And of course, it's slow banelings, it's off of creep. This is a fight he could have taken if he was better prepared for it. I don't think he expected there to be so much waiting for him, though.
Where's that Liberator right now? Did that one go down?
Looks like, yep.
Is there a Spore Crawler in the main? I think it flew right into a Spore Crawler. But, oh, Maru going to redrop on that third. Does grab a drone or two.
Yeah,
and yeah, that very well placed Spore Crawler. That plus the Queen must have got it before it did any damage. So Solar's defense once again looking awesome. However, you know, it was looking good last game, and Maru still managed to take him out with efficient trades. Gets a cancel on the fourth there. That Widowmine keeps picking off a few Zerglings here and there. Maru's got his own third down now. His +2 armor's finishing. Hasn't started +2 weapons yet. That's probably the more important upgrade. Might be a little bit of an oversight there, but his production is in full swing now. 3 base economy, 64 SCVs. Maru's looking healthy.
He is, and he consolidates his forces. Unfortunately, there's not 4 to 5 Widowmines like we saw before, but 2 might just do it. Again, Solar, he's finishing speed as we speak, but even with the baneling speed, you don't want to take these engagements off of creep.
Yeah, this is still, you know, Solar's got a bit more of a supply lead than he did before. He's going for a Spire much earlier this time around. isn't counterattacking at all yet. And as I say that, he splits off all of his Zerglings on the southern side. A huge counterattack making its way across the map. Solo's saying, nah, I'm not letting you bully me around this time. I'm going to just fight you on your side of the map if you just try and stay over here with so many units. Going to come on in. The barracks are funneling his Zerglings through, but he's going to split off into these bases, start to deal massive damage. Meanwhile, a drop in the main base starts to pick off a couple drones. Maru here, but is going to lose all those Marines. That Widow Mine not going to do too much as well. The third base starting to get ransacked a little bit, but man, somehow this bunker is still alive.
Yeah, that bunker held for a while, but Solar expected the depots to be down. They weren't, and that was a big mistake. So the Lings ran north with nothing to do and nowhere to go. They come back to kill 16 SCVs. Okay, maybe starts making a little bit of economic damage, but he took some too back, let's not forget. I
would say at the end of that, it is a little bit better for Solar, but hey, maybe the Widow Mine can change that. Grabs a couple of drones, couple of lava. Not too bad. That Spore Crawler will move and clean that up now. But Solar here, I think definitely he's kind of pushed Maru back for a little bit longer than in the previous game. The problem is his creep spread. He's still only got the creep barely out front his fourth base. He doesn't have a hive on the way, but his Corruptors are going to be coming into play a lot earlier this game.
Yeah, the creep spread, at least he's got it between his bases, but you're right, this isn't exactly pushing through the middle of the map just yet. Please trying to spread creep on the front lines are going to get pushed back. A couple transfuses get burned. Looks like that medevac also pushed back from the main.
Looks like right now Maru rotating around this north side of the map. His army not looking quite as fearsome up there. Just a bit of a poking force for now. 2-2 is done though for both players. A fourth command center is now starting. Maru, he's going to find this fifth base right after it starts. Great game sense from him. And he's going to shut that down instantly. Solar still in a very defensive stance. Now that he sees this army up here, though, I mean, if he can surround this with Corruptors and Lings and Banes, he may be able to do well. Oh, massive Widow Mine shot. Oh my gosh. Huge number of Zerglings goes down there. Maru's counter dropping in the main to try and buy time for himself. Where are those Corruptors right now?
Unfortunately, not here. Another Baneling bust, I guess, gets picked off. Can pick up and fly away without that anti-air. Where are those Corruptors actually? Okay, so they're there in the main defending and deflecting. Medevac finally gets picked off over there. We got the infestation pit thrown down, but is it too late to be thinking about hive tech?
I mean, he's definitely staying on Lingbane Corruptor for a long time. Those Corruptors do allow him to really shut down Maru whenever he comes too deep. You can't just pick up and just walk wherever he wants to like he could before. So these Corruptors are definitely going to add something into Solar's army. Also, they may be able to tank some of those Widow Mine shots. But right now, Maru is up just a little bit in army supply. And it is just going to be 2-2 Lingbane versus 2-2 Bio for quite a while. The +3 is about halfway done for Maru. He's going to start edging in here. He doesn't have many Widow Mines, but that is a good Marauder count. There's a huge Baneling count for Solar, but not many Zerglings mixed in.
A lot of those Banelings go off on the Marauders, not exactly going as planned, but the Corruptors start pushing in those medevacs again, which is nice to see. Ling's forced to pick up over here.
Drones going down in the third base. Oh, a single Liberator. Oh no, Solar with a huge mistake there. So focused on that frontal fight, loses 15 workers, and suddenly Maru is way in the lead after that.
I mean, just looking at the resources lost too, the way this game's been trading out, it's been so cost effective for him. Forget what you'd see on the income graph, just knowing that he's lost so little means he's had to replace very little as well. In fact, wow, looking at the actual units lost tab is a little bit depressing, links to Marine ratio.
Wow. So many units coming in up here on the north side of the map. A good bit of terrain here. Maru has shown he's so good at using these pieces of the map. But that's a lot of Banelings coming in as well. Most of them just wrapping around a single Marauder rather than chasing the Marines. Solar with a little bit of missed micro there and just not quite enough units to overwhelm everything. These Banelings getting trapped on these Marauders once more. Marines are able to shoot down some of the Corruptors and the Medevacs just fly away to safety. Maru's healthily got that fourth base mining. Nice income graph there. You can see he's just slightly in the lead right now. They're reasonably close, but I think as some more mules drop, Maru's going to jump way ahead.
Yeah, I think each of these spikes is pretty much the mules dropping, but now he's finally got the fourth down to get some more consistent mining. Scan goes down to see what's really going on out here. I guess the Liberator did push off the drones, so they're just kind of chilling. Speaking of no mining. Widow Mine's looking for some shots to the north. They're not going to get anything amazing, but the Marauders can certainly tank these hits for days. They're like an actual wall the Marines can just hide behind.
Corruptors are going in, starting to do a little bit of damage to those medevacs, but by the time they get in there, all the Ling Bane is gone. Maru just outnumbers by so much at this point. Solar was never able to rebuild those drones after he lost them. He's still down at 57 workers versus 64 SCVs. You never want to be down in workers against Terran because, of course, they've got those mules going as well. And it looks like this is just going to be a little bit too much for Maru. He's got Liberators on the way. He's got 3-3 versus 2-2. I mean, an upgrade advantage and a 50 army supply advantage. That's insane. This is not something you beat without some really good tech units. Solar doesn't really have that right now. He's got a very basic army of Ling Bane Corruptor.
The numbers game is really hard to look at. There's certainly some situations where, like, if Maru move commands, if he eats a bad bailing hit, like, this game gets really messy. A lot of his army supply, it's in those medevacs, but as we can see, the Corruptors can't even pick off the medevacs. They're just kind of being given away into the Marines. GG's are going to get called. Maru going to take this series 2-0 over Solar? Like, of all people to 2-0? Solar?
He looked so good. That was just one of those moments where Solar didn't play bad there. Yes, he made mistakes, but it really felt like Maru was forcing those mistakes. He just was so dogged with his pressure. And there were so many moments where he looked kind of like Beyond, with that ability to kind of walk into a position where the Zerg is completely prepared and to still find an efficient trade.
Yeah.
And that wasn't just once or twice. It was continually throughout the entire early stage, the entire mid game. Just stellar play, man.
Absolutely. That's, of course, unfortunately, as much as I would really love to follow to that TvT, I am a huge TvT fanatic. I think this means we're swapping groups now, right? To the other side like we did last time?
Yep, we will be swapping to the winner of Dark and Jack G versus the winner of BL Classic. I didn't catch what happened in BL Classic. Okay, the other stream is behind us, so we will have another bit of a break here. Because BL Classic has just started. But we're going to be watching the winner, which was Dark. He 2-0 Jack G. Their second game was epic. I managed to catch a little bit on my my second monitor when we just was starting that game. But now BL vs Classic's on, and whoever wins that game will be facing off against Dark on this stream next up.
Awesome. So just going back to the standard of what we've been doing, guys, a little bit of music, a little bit of a break, and hopefully we won't be gone too long. I do want to state, though, because there's been people demanding games. Unfortunately, we don't have control of this, just so you guys are all aware. Peg and I are here at the ready. The second they give us games to cast, the second we get invited to games, we're ready to rock and roll. But we cannot start anything before the admins let us and before the players are ready to play. So apologies to those who have been suffering through the downtime, but thank you for your patience. We will be back as soon as we can. I'm going to be right back.
Champions of the night.